Maybe on the scope.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at this guy up in the box. That's Matt Powers, and he's looking in his microscope right now.
Oh, hello.
But more
I'm
importantly,
looking at Ian, actually.
it's Friday, September 20th, Matt, and Permaculture Soil Sciences and Solutions has been funded. Amen.
Yes, it's a reality. Thank you so much for promoting it so much. And I've gotten so many messages from people saying exactly that you've been promoting it so much and that they are there to support me because of you, and that the videos that we've done together and the testimonials that you've presented. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Well, Matt, you're like the number one coolest guy in the permaculture scene these days. There are many cool guys in permaculture these days, but the way you present it, I think it's because you're younger, your enthusiasm level is ridiculous, and you have kids, and you have a wife that struggled through some extremely difficult medical situations, and you still come out on top. So it's about the energy level, the vibration that you create in the community, that some people that are out of the 190 backers so far, some of those people are just giving money and they don't even know why, because it's just so awesome. They're never even going to plant anything, but they want to help because they know that this is helping.
Yeah, it's really humbling. It's really, really humbling when someone takes your writing course and at the end of the writing course says, that was the most incredible course on writing. You know, I've never thought I'd be a writer, but maybe I might use this in the future. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, you did it again. It was so, and I was like, holy cow, you're just a supporter. It's like, it was the highest compliment as like an educator, you know, that you can get, that they're just there to learn because they like learning from you. And I really appreciate that. And, you know, to tell you about the audience a little bit about why I have this kind of energy. When I left the music industry, when I stopped playing music full time, I had just come off my first national tour. I had just recorded with the best band that I'd ever recorded with. The best recording, Buy In, Buy Out by Matt Powers. Look it up online on YouTube and you'll see. That was like my pinnacle. And it is a fabulous recording. But I was really depressed when I had to leave the music industry and become a substitute teacher at first. And what I realized as I watched like the damage I was doing to my family through me being down and lower energy, I kind of like skidded on that bottom a few different times over the course of several years, dealing with depression, anxiety, frustration, irritation, and anger. Like, why is my wife getting cancer repeatedly? Why can't, you know? And initially I thought I was good at gardening. And that second year I really got my butt kicked. You know, we brought in all this bull manure, you know, and it was just like BS and weeds, you know, in that garden. And I didn't understand, and I was really discouraged. And I made a decision, I made a choice that it's like, I can either be down, be depressed. I'm like, at this point, you know, I'm in my I'm like approaching 30. I'm like, or around 30. Maybe I just turned 30. And I'm like, this is my life. I can either go up or down now. I can take my family with me. I can ruin their lives. My son's going to grow up and my son's turning 13 on Sunday. You know, I'm not yet 40. I'm going to have a lifetime with my son as an adult. You know, I find that like a privilege. But if I did it wrong, then it's going to be a curse that follows me around. And so it really sunk in deep that I needed to make a choice. And I realized that it was that I had to dig down deeper. I had to find meaning and I had to find purpose. And that's when I started really studying gardening And everything that I put into gardening, I got back tenfold. I planted a seed, I got like a packet of seeds. I planted, the seed from one fruit and I got tons of fruit. And as the years compounded, there were all these like hidden, invisible things that were happening and learning and lessons that were like distilling upon me like the dew of each morning. And I found such peace. I found such clarity, and I felt, fed by this. And it started when I made that choice. And every step I take into being more self-reliant, into stepping away from, the store-bought world, I stepped more into myself, and I stepped more into my confidence as I gained more competence. And that's why my energy just continues to build, because every day I wake up and I do something new, something fun, something that drives my curiosity. And that's like what this Kickstarter really is. I mean, it's a new adventure, and I'm inviting everyone to come with me, because we're going to go and learn from like a collection of amazing
Boom!
experts.
Someone just donated.
And yes, I know. Really?
Yeah, it racked up
Thank
live.
you.
It was awesome. It froze us up for a second too. So you're froze, Matt. But this total just jumped from
Oh
about
man,
$40. It was awesome.
that is so sweet. Am I still frozen?
No, you're back.
Okay. Well, all of this is community. All of this is us getting together and deciding that we want to take control, to take charge, and to have a better life, to have a richer life,
So
in a holistic way. From the soil on up.
yeah, let me jump in. This is recently. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm going to send you the paper after I tell you what happened in the last few weeks. You launched this Kickstarter just a few days ago. It was maybe 11 days, 12 days now. And last night, before I did my show, right around midnight, I saw that we're a couple hundred short. So I think I pledged a couple bucks, $8 again, so I could comment. And then in the morning, I got the message that it was funded at the same time. So it was almost as if our subscribers just pushed that extra $300 in just to make this happen. So that's awesome. But now we have to really step it up to the next level.
I think they did.
Yeah, and I think we need to step it up to the next level to make some more amazing stuff happen where we can go visit these people. We were just talking about it, right? We could we could actually just buy an old RV, and in it we could create like a permaculture world tour van where we have solar lighting, because there's a guy, Bug Out Brad, that's who he used to be on YouTube, is now an indoor grow light guy and part of the Grand Solar Minimum community. And he could help us retrofit that van, and we could literally be planting food as we drive across the country. These seedlings would be going in people's gardens. It would be awesome. It could be like a 1-month tour. Let's think about that. It could even be a Kickstarter where we need this much money to do the permaculture world tour, and we plan to do it in the spring or the fall, however it works out. But with this Kickstarter, it's already funded, and we need everyone to get involved in soil science because of this reason I'm about to reveal. In the last 2 months, Matt, in the scientific literature, they have proven why you're enthusiastic. And it has to do with the fatty acids in the soil, amino acids, that literally create happiness and health, and also homeostasis in the immune system. And the paper recently coming out is attributing these specific amino fatty acids in the soil to the Shinrin-yoku effect, or the effect that you have experienced and many others like myself when we go out there and we dig in it and it embeds in our fingernails. it is then subdermally transferred into our bloodstream and we feel better. What do you think about that?
It's real. It's so real. My friend and teacher, Cuauhtemoc Villa, he was in the first class, the first North American class on EM, on effective microbes, with the founders of Terraganics. And he likes to always say that they're his friends. And he's been, cultivating his friends and partnering with his friends for, everything, and building soil. And I really think that if we start partnering with soil, it's not just this woo-woo thing. It's this real relationship. As I've been telling people over and over again in the past few weeks, as I've been traveling and doing talks all over California lately, actually. The soil is the place where the digestion happens for the plants, and that's how their nutrition is released. And inside us, in our guts, the microbiome there, the microbiology there, is releasing the nutrition from our food. And it's this relationship between these two cousins that is powering everything. And it's not just through our mouth, it's through our skin. And you know that 60% of everything that comes into contact with our skin is absorbed into our body. And then it's not just that, because as you breathe things in, I mean, that whole Shinrin-yoku thing, there's this whole thing about breathing when you go into the forest. Your stomach relaxes. You take a belly breath instead of a chest breath, instead of a shoulder breath. You're taking a belly breath. And you're taking in, and they've proven that in every breath, there is 12 to 16 spores. And that's just fungi, spores from mushrooms. Think about all the other things that are in that breath.
Fungi? Let me jump in on
fungi.
Let's
do it.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, this permaculture soil science course is about soil, right? But this is what I think is happening.
All part.
This is what I think is happening, Matt. It's the mycorrhiza. And what happens is, if you're a permaculturalist and you're improving the soil, I believe that mycorrhiza is more intelligent than humanity. And the mycorrhiza recognizes what you're doing over there on your 1 acre or your 10 acres. It's recognizing it underneath in the ground, and it comes over into your area, and it knows exactly what you're doing. And it's like, oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this wonderful animal called a human, and what it's doing over here. It's healing the earth. And then it says, come on, everybody, get over here, man. Let's help out Matt and Diamond, and let's do this. And because we've done our work and we've put the essential micronutrients down and we've gotten the minerals in place, the mycorrhiza can give us abundance. It's almost like we're communicating with it in a way that we really haven't begun to understand. So we're having this beautiful, it's almost a spiritual dialogue with the mycorrhiza.
Fungi is the reason that plants and animals came to exist. And fungi is how we got onto land. Fungi is in everything. It's in all plants and it's in all animals. It is this, and we've only been studying fungi in mycology for 70 years. Most schools do not have a mycology department. It is literally the hidden half of the equation on all scientific reactions in nature that we just never really addressed. And I mean, when you look at, speaking of spiritual, you look at the Christian sacrament, it's wine, that's fungal, that's yeast. It's bread, that's fungal. You know what I mean? That's yeast. And even, manna, manna is actually of desert fungi. So when we look at these things, when we look at our history, when we look at the language, fungi have been part of the story the whole time, and we haven't really recognized it. And sometimes we've credited it with, with spiritual reasons, and we've wrapped it around with our culture, but it's always been there, even if we've not understood it, even if it's not been part of our science. So I completely agree 1,000% that fungi is the linchpin. Radical mycology author Peter McCoy went in depth with me, teaching me one-on-one after I read through his book several times. And the story of fungi is truly unbelievable. Do you know that there's this one fungi, arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi? It partners, and remember, all these tests are so limited, right? They put these big numbers on. They're like, it's partners with over 90% of the plants tested. We can't test all the plants, right? So it's everywhere though. It's everywhere seemingly. But this is the crazy thing about it that I want to talk about is that it collects nuclei. They look at it under the scope. They're like, wait a second. There's 900 to 1,200 nuclei, which makes it really, really clear that the nucleus is not the brain. The brain is not the nucleus of the cell. And this AMF has no ancestor. They don't know where it's from. And fungi has been taken out into space and brought back, and it reanimates. So we really don't understand fungi, and it is absolutely intelligent. The slime mold test that they did in Japan against the subway planners, they proved that slime mold can map out the city in a completely superior.
Oh my, you just cut out, Matt. You just cut out. You said superior.
Oh no! Am
Now,
I
but let me
back?
jump in. Let me jump in real quick because let's
Am I-
go to the next level. We just blew
Okay.
people's mind. We're getting a little deep in the mycorrhiza. So let's take it to the next level. Are you aware of a scientific study that happened 5 years ago in the Sahel Desert, where there is these trees in Africa, Matt, that literally communicate?
Mm-hmm.
If a single tree in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the Sahel, is being overgrazed by mammals, it starts releasing a pheromone. And the pheromone is carried by the air. And then this pheromone, let's say
Yep.
10, 20 kilometers away, is picked up by another tree that knows what that means. It means that they must start secreting creosote in order to kill the mammals that are going to kill the trees. It's literally trees. It's warfare. It's trees that are fighting back against overgrazing from these mammals. It is literally mind-blowing. And I've been often intrigued by the fact that trees have more chromosomes than mammals do, like humans. And I've often been overwhelmed by the fact that trees have been alive, like lepidodendron, almost 320 million years, continuously, from the first gigantic fern-like tree till today's deciduous and coniferous forests. We've had trees on Earth continuously through cosmic catastrophe after catastrophe that wiped out dinosaurs and 80% of mammals and on and on. And yet trees are still here and they're still learning and they can silently communicate. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that when people say that they don't want to eat animals because animals are intelligent, that always rubs me the wrong way from what I've learned about trees and plants and fungi, especially. It's like, well, actually, we're the least like adapted, least evolved. We're like the youngest, newest. So they have the most experience. They have like this deeper wisdom, and so it makes me feel like there's a confusion there as to like what these plants really are. And I think most people when they're gardening get to really experience that. And there's this thing called the honorable harvest, and it's this idea that we don't take more than our fair share. And when we are out like wild harvesting, we don't harvest from the first plant that we see. And there's
That's
this give
because
and
the
take
mycorrhiza
relationship
knows.
between you and the land. I love it. But yeah, this book, The Hidden Life of
Oh man, we're losing bandwidth. You said the hidden life of
Oh, trees. Yeah, the hidden life of trees. Am I cutting? Okay. So what's like this is where I learned about how the trees, how we talk about how there's the internet of the soil. That's really not happening in most of the forests at all in America because they were all grown in nurseries without like in sterile soil, without the fungal network, and without mothers. It's really important that trees grow near the tree that they grew from, or, you know, like the seeds, because they actually form relationships in the root level, the rhizosphere as it's called, and they exchange nutrients, they exchange genetic information, and they form this communication network through the mycorrhizal network that is the true internet of the soil, but we really don't have it very many places at all.
Yeah, but
And
listen.
so they're very much like we can make it happen though.
Yeah, but and listen. This is how deep it gets. All right. If you're in an old growth area, which is very limited, and I'm talking a modest old growth where it's 150 years or older, okay? Modest old growth is still many areas you can come right around here. I can drive a few miles and go there. And even at Oppenheimer Ranch, our higher elevation property, we have this forest there, maybe like 11 to 14 acres of it. The trees are 160 foot in canopy. And then we're talking about the baby trees underneath. These are trees between 5 and 35 years old, okay? And they're completely shaded. And what you find in these regions is versions of conifer that cannot exist here. There's not enough light. You find like the mixed firs and Engelmann spruce and blue spruce growing under a canopy with not enough light, yet they're vibrant and colorful. And the reason is, and they've just uncovered this, in these environments, the mother trees, the big high canopy, are actually killing themselves on purpose to feed their children. And it's because they know that if they sacrifice their nutrient uptake even for 5 or 10 years, they're good to go. They're gonna maintain some type of health, and maybe in better times they don't need to give away that nutrient. It literally is a maternal instinct within the forest that not only is proven scientifically, but Matt, people like you and I can go to these places, and I bring people up here, and you tend to get more quiet and reflective, and you don't want to talk, you just want to be there and walk further. And some people are like, can we go further in? You know, it's like a connection in these areas where the vibration is amazing. The silence is actually deafening because the reason you're quiet is because you're learning so much by what you're seeing.
Wow. You know, there's a term called the flow state, where when you're performing as an artist or playing as a musician, where everything seems to like flow and it all feels natural and it almost feels like you're watching a movie happen. And I think that's exactly what happens when we go to these places. I lived outside of Yosemite, so I mean, I got spoiled, right? And when you go to these ancient, you know, sacred groves of trees, they are sacred. You feel it, you smell it, you taste it. It's in the air. It's electrical, and that's what we're meant to feel. That's what we're meant to think about, and that's the pattern of human being. That's what a human being needs to be. And only when we have our habitat, the natural habitat of a human being, which is savanna like forest, which is exactly like a food forest where you have annuals and perennials, you know, with enough open for sunlight in. That's the savanna. That's the fruitful savanna. And that's where we thrive. And without that, we start to senesce. We see it. We see that it heals us. We see that it feeds us on this deeper level, and we know it's a truth. It's a something from our gut. that tells us it's true. So I completely agree.
Yeah, the permaculture principles were proven to me by these multiple experiences I've had over the last few decades. And more importantly, over the last decade, when I've really honed into the spiritual interface between cosmology and nature. And what I was trying to do is basically do like a yoga practice or a meditation in the forest to glean information from nature. And what that, a lot of people refer to that as the Akashic record, and that flow state that you're talking about. You're really, this discussion is helping me solidify the feelings I've had. And I even had another breakthrough because of what you said. And that is, when I go into these areas now, I'm a little bit more, let's say, educated, because the permaculture principles themselves are right before my very eyes. So not only am I learning in each unique opportunity, but I can remember now on dozens of occasions when I'm in these old growth regions in that flow where I'm looking up into the high trees at the epiphytes. And the epiphytes are literally telling me that they're busted. They're like, oh, yeah, you found me. They know what they're doing. And I felt that in a sense where I feel their contempt, and I never knew why. And then I researched epiphytes. I found out what they were, and it's literally them telling me like they're busted because I know what they are. And this is that Akashic information that we can tap into. I mean, I did read the books, but I had felt the feeling before I knew what they were. I was like, those look bad. Are they bad? Are they doing something bad or good, or what are they? And they're literally sucking the life out of that tree. And they're like, I'm sorry. They're even apologetic because that's the only way they can live. And these are the lessons we need to learn about purpose and ecological niche, and that we all have a place.
And what's so cool about this is it's not something that, people like have to find someone to tell them. This is stuff that has become self-evident as you work with nature, as you have your garden develop, as you build that soil. These kind of things that we're talking about, that you're gonna understand. You're gonna be like, yeah, no, that makes sense because of that and that and that. And if that's true, then you're going to create these bridges of understanding. This fluency is going to come out of practicing and applying all these ideas.
And that's what permaculture, soil science, and solutions is all about. We take these complex ideas, all this esoteric science, and you could be confused with the papers, but it doesn't matter, because if you listen to those that have gone before you that are developing these techniques, and they go way back, and you're going to be delving into, and also we have been delving into the Korean natural farming method simply by mentioning EM1. It is these lacto fermentation processes. It is going all the way back to the original source, which is a book that inspired me, where you do less and get more. Isn't that right? In fact,
Yeah, I've got that right over here.
oh yeah, what's the title?
Yeah, One Straw Revolution, baby.
So the most difficult author ever's name to pronounce. Now, what this genius, what can you pronounce his last name?
It's Masanobu Fukuoka.
Fukuoka, yes, Fukuoka. So Fukuoka discovered some of the basic principles of permaculture, chop and drop, but he was applying it to food production, and his results were remarkable. And he found out that the less you do
Mm-hmm.
and the more you think about it, the more the mycorrhiza and the natural biome helps you. So you can do less and produce more. And that's where we went awry in about 1905 with chemical agriculture, because we were right on the cusp of this. In the late 1800s, the permaculture, which was called the Organic Agriculture Society, they were on the cusp of this closed cycle of poop and fermentation and composting, and how it all is right here. And then it was ripped away because of war and greed and the multinational corporation. But people are waking up, and we're in a new high vibration,
Yeah.
and we're in a tough time. And this could not be a better time to teach the masses how to take back their lives.
Thank you so much. I am so excited. This is such an honor, and it's an adventure. And like we keep talking about, there's so many solutions, so many things that you can start applying at home, so much off-grid, DIY, reversing the trend from being helpless to being not just resilient, but being empowered by our relationship with soil. And that's what we're talking about. That's what we're teaching. So please check that out. There's lots of options. If you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, there's an intro course that goes from just beginners to advanced. And then there's a deep dive 12-week course. So every step is there. Check it out, and I will see you. Thank you.
You're awesome, Matt, and we love you. And guess what? I have bad news. The last 3 minutes of my bloviating was on mute, which is unfortunate. I'm gonna have to edit that out. But all I was saying, and I could never recapture that moment because it was flowing from the heart, is the fact that
Oh,
from ancient cultures to modern times, we've had this information is at the core of humanity. The fact that soil is innate to all humans, and it's what creates the food that we eat, has been known. It's been known by all ancient societies, and you're breathing it in right now. That's the heart math. I wanted to get to that too. You had mentioned about breathing as part of Shinrin Yoku, and you even mentioned the belly breathe versus the chest breathe. Look, you don't have to get that complicated for people, because heart math has proven it's simple breathing in the same duration and out the same duration creates a stasis in the human body that creates an emotional perfection that most people don't experience during the day. And that's what our society has designed your life to be: crooked. And it's this crooked life that you're living that creates unnatural breathing. Natural breathing that happens if you live in a forest or off-grid with no pressure consists of several seconds in, 3 or 4. I like 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out in a very controlled, equal pattern. And if you just do this for 1, 2, 3 minutes a day, in the morning and in the evening, you will literally reset your life. This is the beginning of your yoga practice, of you reconnecting with source. If there is one source in the universe that makes you human, it's life. And if you want to know the life source, it's air. And if you want to know the air source, it's your breathing. And if you want to know something miraculous, you don't have to remember to breathe. I watched my mother die in hospice for 14 days, and she was an Irish woman. And it should be a terrible thing, right? She was dying of cancer, and the hospital actually killed her, gave her a stroke from opioids. But I've forgiven them because it's the pharmaceutical industry, not the hospital, that did that. But I watched her body continue to breathe, even after all of her organs shut down. Almost everything was dead, but her body wanted to breathe. And all humans need to breathe to live. And if we can just get our breath correct, we can optimize our lives. We can relegate our emotional states, and we can literally penetrate the world with a love that has never been possible before. And it's difficult because even, you and I, Matt, are distracted and we want to be doing this all day, but we can't because we have responsibilities. We have family. We have loved ones. We want to sell books and we want to teach people about soils and the truth about how it is we live abundantly. And your permaculture, soil science, and solutions course is a great step in. And these conversations allow us to grow by sharing knowledge. And I love you for that. And so I'm done.
Thank you so much. I love you, Diamond, and I love being here on your show. It's truly an honor. And this Kickstarter has just been absolutely incredible. So thank you so.
Let's do it again. We love you, Matt. And we'll see you here soon. Stretch goal coming.
Yeah, let's do it again.
What do we got? What do we got? We got 12 days. Let's do it.
Let's do it.